Hi there, Jesse Kurtz here. Welcome to the Mountain West Blitz, where each week we'll take you around the Mountain West to get you the inside information from the experts who know your team best. Our first stop is in San Jose, where the Spartans enjoyed an offensive explosion in Week 1, rolling up 707 yards of total offense against New Hampshire. We welcome in the voice of San Jose State football, Justin Allegri. Justin, the Spartans used two quarterbacks in that opener against New Hampshire. Both Joe Gray and Kenny Potter played, and they played very, very well. What are the chances they stick with that blueprint as the Spartans open up conference play at the Air Force Academy on Saturday?
Well, when talking to Coach Carragher, he's pretty certain that he's going to stick with both guys at this point. And why not? Both performed very well, like you said, and both performed in different ways, but successful in both ways. Kenny Potter, more a running quarterback, and you can really use that option with him and the zone read. And then Joe Gray looked more composed this year in the first game. He didn't make the mistakes, and he has the big arm. So there's two different styles of quarterback that can play, and I think early in the season, Coach Carragher is going to go with both still.
And the Spartans used a wealth of offensive weapons in that opener. Who's the go-to guy at this point? Because Irvin had a great game. Winston had a great game. Who's the go-to guy for either quarterback?
I think Tyler Irvin is still the man that you want to run the offense through. And because Thomas Tucker is healthy now, it really does help out Tyler Irvin, because you can split him into the slot, and you can dump a pass off to him, and it just alleviates a lot of the workload that he had last year. He's not an every down type of back, but when you have Thomas Tucker come in there and take the heavy blows, Tyler Irvin can come in fresh and he can rip off some big plays. So he's dangerous when he's healthy and he's fresh, and that's what the rotation has him right now.
Thank you, Justin. Boise State travels to BYU this Saturday, which comes with a little less hype than that season opener against Washington, where the Broncos defeated former Boise State head coach Chris Peterson. For more on that, we welcome in the radio analyst and former Bronco offensive lineman Pete Cavender here into the Mountain West Network studio. Pete, how relieved are the Broncos to not have to answer any more questions leading up to that big game against Coach Pete?
Well, really, I think they are relieved. You know, they have the obviously locker room talk saying, hey, it's just another game. But obviously that was a huge game for Boise State. Chris Peterson really built that program. There was a lot of foundation underneath that, but he made that program what it is. And if you look at the team, 20 of the 22 starters were recruited by Coach Peterson. So it's obviously motivating for them. But, you know, we've all done it. We've all competed against our brothers and our friends back in Pee Wee football or what have you. And they just wanted to get out there on the football field, obviously get the W. And then after the game was actually a cool moment. Coach Peterson got with all his players that he did recruit and gave him a big hug and a little word of encouragement for the season. So it was great to see Coach Peterson on the blue again and actually hand him his third loss on the blue. No doubt.
And now you're facing a team in BYU that's coming off a tremendous high, coming off that emotional Hail Mary win against the University of Nebraska. Last year, the Broncos scored 55 points in a win over BYU. Offense struggled a little bit, especially in the second half against Washington. How did they find that offense again so they can put up the points and make it 2 wins in a row against BYU?
Well, I really just think it's consistency. You know, that football game against Washington was almost a tale of two halves. The first half, Boise State had the football moving a little bit, had some nice plays. We're up 16-0 at the halftime. The second half, you know, missed a shot downfield to Chaz Anderson, took a sack on third down, had a punt blocked, had a short punt, had a punt return for a touchdown. So really a lot of things didn't go in their favor in the second half. So it's just consistency, because Boise State showed in that first half that they can score, but they'll have to show that in BYU in what will be a tough environment. They're saying it will be a whiteout, so the crowd will be excited. As you said, after that Hail Mary win at Nebraska, the team will be ready to go for opening that stadium. And really, it's going to be a tough football game. You know, fortunately for Boise State, or unfortunately for BYU, however you see it, Taysom Hill is unfortunately not going to be able to play it. You know, Broncos would love to get their best shot, but looking at their true freshman backup, Tanner Magnum, here in our backyard in Eagle, Idaho, he is confident. He is one of the best recruited players when he was in high school. It looks like BYU's done a nice job developing him as a quarterback, and it should be a tough game. A barn burner for 4 quarters.
Thanks, Pete. The Tony Sanchez era is underway in Las Vegas as UNLV gave Northern Illinois everything it wanted in the season opener. The Rebels are very impressive in that 8-point loss. Now Sanchez getting ready to make his Sam Boyd Stadium debut on Saturday when UCLA comes to town. Mike Pritchard, the radio analyst for the UNLV Rebels, joins us now. Mike, there's been such a buzz around this team since the moment Tony Sanchez took over the reins. What's the anticipation like in Las Vegas as he gets set to take his team out on the field in front of the home fans for the first time?
Yeah, I think everybody's very excited about the Rebels and the opportunity under Coach Sanchez. The home opener, this is a chance for the Rebels to play a ranked opponent, a nationally ranked opponent at home, and play to a certain standard. But certainly the community is very excited about the Rebels right now. They played very well last week against Northern Illinois, and they're just hoping that the Rebels can be consistent and get better each week. And that's what the coaches are asking from the players right now.
And the Rebels got off to a great offensive start against Northern Illinois. How do they replicate the same sort of approach against UCLA?
Well, I think it starts with confidence and believing and receiving the messages from the coaching staff. Barney Cotton, he's the offensive coordinator right now, and he has the quarterback, Blake Decker, confident in himself, the offensive line blocked well, and a running back. We have yet to see the talent from the running back position. A couple of young freshmen that the Rebels are high on. They call them the Lex and X show, or Lexington Thomas and Xavier. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens out there, but a lot of people are excited about the game against the Bruins.
Thank you, Mike. In Fort Collins, the CSU Rams are getting set to entertain Minnesota this week. Earlier this summer, if you remember, Gophers head coach Jerry Kill said this game in Fort Collins was the toughest on his team's schedule, which included an opening season game against number 2 TCU. For more on this matchup, we bring in one of the voices of Colorado State Rams football, Brian Roth. Brian, the team looked great in the opener against Savannah State. How do they match up against a significantly better team in Minnesota who gave the Horned Frogs a run last weekend?
Yeah, well, first off, Jerry Kill, I don't know what he's talking about, because anybody that watched that Ohio State-Virginia Tech game earlier this week knows that Ohio State is hands down the best team in the nation. I think he was referring to the fact that they were coming off a huge game against TCU. They had all summer to prepare for that, and then they had to go on the road. I think he anticipates that being tough. But Colorado State didn't get anything out of that game against Savannah State outside of some game repetitions and some live bullets, if you will. But this is going to be a much, much different game, and we're going to have a clear understanding of what Colorado State's all about coming up after this game, because there's one thing that we know about a Jerry Kill coach team. They're going to be tough, they're going to be physical, they're going to play the entire 60 minutes.
And Nick Stevens going to face a much better defense. What did you gauge out of Nick Stevens? Sure, it wasn't the big bullets that he'll face against Minnesota, but he's the offensive player of the week in the Mountain West, threw 5 touchdown passes. That's got to account for something, understanding that it wasn't the best of competition.
Yeah, you take the competition, you say, okay, outside of that, what did Nick Stevens do? Because you still have to go out and you still have to put the ball on the money, and he did. He was sharp. Mike Bobo said in the pregame, after the game, he was talking about the pregame, said he had thrown the football better than he had seen Nick Stevens throwing the football in the year that he has been here. And he was sharp. He put just about everything on the money. The arm strength looked pretty good, because that's kind of been the knock against Stevens. The arm strength isn't great, but the accuracy is great. The decision-making was outstanding. But yeah, we know that game is going to speed up a little bit more coming up on Saturday. The receivers won't be quite as open, but hey, I think you have to give Nick Stevens a big thumbs up for the performance he had on Saturday.
Thanks, Brian, for the time, and good luck to the Rams against the Gophers. A reminder, if you want to hear directly from the coaches, you can do so right here on the Mountain West Network, where each week we broadcast the coaches' live weekly press conferences. From the Mountain West Network studio, I'm Jesse Kurtz.